Welcome to Make It Happen, episode number 19. Hello, my name is Ali Meehan and I'm your host for today. And in the Make It Happen studio, we have Kathryn Eade. Kathryn is an expert in mindset and resilience and helps to inspire a different way of thinking. Hi, Kathryn.
Hi, Ali. Nice to see you.
Good to see you too. So for the ladies who don't know of you, please tell us a bit about Kathryn and a little bit about Up+thrive.
I will. So yeah, hi, I'm Kathryn. As you say, I'm the founder of Up+thrive. And I guess my real passion is about supporting people to thrive outside of their comfort zone. And knowing that I've played a part in that particular journey. So I support female entrepreneurs and aspiring leaders with the mindset, and by that I guess I mean self-belief, the courage, the resilience, so I put that all under mindset, to embrace change and thrive. And I work as a consultant. I also work as a coach, collaborating mainly at an organisational level, but I do also work with individuals, delivering mindset programs around creating positive and inclusive cultures. In terms of a bit about me, so I'm British. I'm currently back living in the UK. I've just had 3 years living in Montreal. But we plan as a family, hopefully, to go away again at some point. So it's important for me that Up+thrive is a portable business. So I do a lot of work locally, face-to-face, but I also do try to do as much work as I can online, and continue to collaborate within a global network. So I'm really interested in kind of doing that, and that was kind of my interest in chatting to you and speaking to your audience. And I guess when I'm not working, when I'm not trying to get my clients to push boundaries, then I'm usually out running or swimming in open water, or as a family we do quite a lot of backpacking and bike packing adventures. So we went to Indonesia last summer and travelled around there for 4 weeks.
Wow, great experience.
Yeah, it's good.
So when did your business journey start?
So way back, I guess, in 2003. So when I left my job in the international NGO sector, and I decided to set up my own learning consultancy. So I'd been in a job where I was supporting expats to prepare for a change to go and work overseas, and also to work alongside local staff as part of the global team. And because I was working in some of the poorest communities in the world, it was really important that those people were able to really hit the ground running and really work together effectively straight away, to the benefit of those communities. There wasn't really any time for sort of adjustment or not getting on with each other, because what we were trying to deliver was really key. Yeah. So that was great. I learned loads, I travelled loads. I love the job, but after about 6 or 7 years, I just became a bit jaded with the travel, to be honest. I got to the point whereby it was kind of like, oh, another airport, another community, and I knew at that point, right, okay, it's time to look at what I've learned and apply that in a different context. And so I set up on my own and was really lucky to be able to apply those skills and work with organisations like the Premier League. So working with sort of elite football players and their families, also with sort of some quite multinational global companies, MTV, Warehouse, Fashion Group, and also a lot of universities in the UK, because at the time that was the time when a lot of those universities were internationalising. So suddenly they had a lot of international students arriving, but they didn't really have, staff weren't really aware of how to work or how to support them most effectively.
Right, okay. Yeah.
So that's where I started, and yeah.
Okay. Yeah, good. I mean, I think a lot of people think that traveling is quite glamorous, but actually when you do a lot of it, it's very tiring, because you only really ever get to see the hotel or the airport. It's very rare that you'll get the extra days to enjoy visiting that particular country.
Yeah, and I was working in, I would arrive and I was working in and then I would be taken out to some quite rural locations, some quite, some potentially quite harsh locations, and I just, that had a toll. But it was also, like you say, there's that whole kind of thing of kind of 3 weeks. So I was in London at the time, but it would be 3 weeks in London and then kind of a week away and then back for kind of 2 weeks and then 3 weeks away. And so to try and get any sense of routine, home routine, was very difficult. So yeah, so I knew, and I knew also that that wasn't going to be tenable with a family.
Yeah,
and that was one of my aspirations. So
okay, yeah, good.
So that always came in the mix as well.
So the audience for these videos are in large part foreigners living in a foreign land, and you've already mentioned that you help empower women entrepreneurs and aspiring leaders with mindset and resilience to embrace change and thrive. So what's been in your experience, the biggest threat that as women expats we feel towards change, and how can we be overcomers?
Yeah, sure. So I think that's a really interesting question, because I think the biggest obstacle often to women expats to taking the leap and really doing something different actually isn't a lack of vision or desire to change. So I work with a lot of people within companies who actually are really fearful of change. But actually, I think, certainly from my experience and the work that I've done with women expats, actually what I see is a group of people who actually aren't fearful of change, because by nature of the fact that they've undergone a huge change, they've chosen, and I use that word kind of in better comments, but they've chosen on the whole to embrace a big change in their lives. And so I don't think it's that desire, but I think sometimes it's the self-belief that they can actually do it. And so I see women expats who are highly resilient. They've many strategies within themselves to deal with change, uncertainty and ambiguity, because they've supported themselves and often others to make a move from one side of the world to another, and settle in a new country, which is a huge thing to do. But they often don't recognise what they've done, what they've achieved, and they often don't give themselves credit for what they've achieved. And so I recognise what they've done and how they can apply those strategies of moving to a new country to, say, setting up a new business, because often the challenges are very similar. So I just think we need to find ways kind of to be kinder to ourselves, to kind of reduce that inner critic that kind of gives us a bit of a hard time, I think, more often than not, and holds us back. And to really support and celebrate each other, which is what I think is fantastic about the work that you do. It's about bringing people together. It's about collaboration, not competition. We are all unique and we all offer something different, but let's support each other to really bring that out, and inspire other women to do the same. I just think if we could do that really lights my fire. I think that's really an amazing thing to be able to do.
So you, as Kathryn, what's been your biggest change, and how have you cope with it? What would be your tips?
Yeah, so I guess being a woman of a certain age, there's been a number of changes in my life. Getting married, taking the leap initially to run my own business, having children. But I guess the most recent and probably the most influential for me has been a change that I took in 2015, which is when I moved with my family. So as I say, I'd lived and worked overseas in many different kind of contexts before, but we'd never done that kind of wholesale family move to somewhere. And I moved my family to Montreal and in Canada. And it was something that I'd aspired to do for a long time. So I wasn't dragged in any way. In fact, it was probably me doing the pushing, if anything. I really wanted my children in particular. So I come from Chester in the UK. It's quite white, it's quite middle class, it's quite insular. And I was passionate about my children having an opportunity to experience somewhere else. I think, if you work in an area where you're encouraging people to push their boundaries, for me it felt authentic to also be doing that and supporting that within our own family. So that for me was a real driver. But even though I was this aspiring positive, this is something I really wanted to do, expat, I did find it a real challenge. And I think the biggest challenge I faced was my sense of identity was really challenged. I'd gone from being, yes, a mum of two, but also a small business owner, running a successful business for 15 years. That business wasn't portable. It relied very much on face-to-face contact with the network of clients that I built up here in the UK. And so by making that shift, there wasn't really much opportunity there. That business had to close and be reinvented. There wasn't really any other options there. And so that really set me on a journey of really thinking about, okay, so what is my sense of purpose? What is it that I want to do? You know, I was kind of mid-40s, 43, I guess, when we went. And it was kind of like, right, okay, what do I want the next kind of 15 years, I guess, to look like for me? And yeah, and I went from being kind of very much an expat partner. They're defined by my kids and my husband's job, because it was my husband's job that we went for.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, to kind of really looking at, okay, what is it that I really want to do? And I was able to then to use my experience of cultural transition, but also of entrepreneurship, to support expat partners to redefine and reinvent themselves. And so that was really exciting, and started me then on a journey of then creating very much this new story, which is what Up+thrive for me is really about.
Great.
So, yeah, so that's kind of that. You asked about tips, and there was I kind of was thinking, well, there's 101 tips, but I guess my biggest tip is always my starting point when I'm working with clients around this, is thinking about, okay, so it's about really doing that piece around what's important to you, and what's your vision, what do you see as your paramount purpose, you know, in terms of delivering, and discuss that, share that, make sure you know, if you're in a relationship, make sure your partner's on board with that too, because I think that is actually what you can rely on and use when you meet obstacles further down the road. In terms of, you know, the drive, basically, that's the drive, that's what sits within you here, not here. It's about what sits within you here in your heart. And it's that kind of, okay, today's not a great day, but actually what's really important for me is that I get this message out. And I think that's what the drive is. That's what the drive is there. I did write a blog, actually, because when I was in Montreal, I blogged quite a lot, and I did write a blog around moving from being expat partner into kind of that more sort of global career. And there's some more tips on there, so I'm more than willing to share that, if we can share that through a link or something.
No, that'd be really good.
So they can get that there. But that would probably be my main tip, I think, is really that working out what's important for you.
Yeah, and that's actually really good advice before people move to another country as well, what they're looking for, why they're moving, what their expectations are when they get there, and then researching whether that's actually going to be possible. Because I do a lot of work with women that are thinking about moving but don't always have time to do the research or thinking about what's in it for them when they get here. So that's a very good tip.
Definitely, yeah.
Who or what would be your inspirational change person, or book, or video, or thought?
I think my main inspiration for me around change is my kids, is my children. So I've got two children, they're 10 and 13. And I guess what I'm really interested there is just that role modelling piece, really, in terms of I want to show them that whilst they can't do everything, so there's loads of stuff out there that we can do. And I think there's lots of people out there rushing around like, you know, mad things, trying to do everything. And so my kind of real mantra is we can't do everything, actually, but what you can do is anything. And so what I want to show them, that I want, you know, for me, the change piece is really about, it's always about engaging with something or someone different. And it's by pushing ourselves out of that comfort zone learning from somebody different, having our values sometimes challenged, listening to somebody new. That's how actually we learn, and that's how we become more self-aware, more resilient, more confident. And I guess that's the type of people that I believe the future needs. And so I try and start on my own patch, if you like, within my four walls, and then I look to how I can take those kind of ideas wider.
Would you say you're a serial expat, or are you creating roots at the moment?
I guess I'm a bit of both. We're back here in the UK, as I say, which is where I'm from, I guess. Although actually I was born and brought up in Germany for 10 years, but I identify with the UK as my home, and it's certainly where our extended family all are. So I'm about at the moment it's about creating roots again for my children. My son was 6 when we left for Montreal, so he does have memory of here, but it was a bit patchy in places. And so for me, it was about him coming back and getting that sense of connection, and for my daughter too. But we do have aspirations to go abroad again. We gained, as a family, we gained so much from our experience in Montreal, that, if anyone was ever thinking of going away anywhere, then I would hands down recommend it.
Okay.
In the right context.
Yeah.
But I think that so it's roots, but maybe not roots for me. I'm more on the serial expat.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, I'm more on the serial expat thing, but I'm conscious also that it was about also coming back and spending time with grandparents at a time when they're still around, they're still around, and they can enjoy the children, and they're all active and they can be involved. Who knows what will happen further down the road. None of us have a crystal ball, do we? So. Yeah.
And when you travel and move around the world, what do you actually take with you to make you feel at home?
I guess I don't know, nothing major really. I'm not a big kind of home comforts person. As long as I've got I don't know, photographs of family, that's quite important for me if they're not coming with me. Nothing in particular that for home. I do like to have, I have sort of things that I always travel with, like a decent notebook and a nice pen and a good hand cream. But really, to be honest, I'm not massively, I guess I don't have big associations with where home is. Home is kind of where I am, and the people that I want to be with are, I guess, in some ways. So yeah, nothing in particular.
Okay, good. What's one thing you will achieve in 2019 to inspire, evolve, or transform yourself?
So I've just been nominated for an award with the work that I do.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. For the work I've done around inspiring female entrepreneurs. And so who knows if I win it, but that would be a great achievement if I did. I don't know, for me, that's kind of, it's something that perhaps in the past I haven't been quite really, I'm not particularly one of those people that's like, oh, I've done this, I've done that, I've done this. But I'm kind of learning that actually, and I do, when I'm talking to people, I'm very much always about, it's really important actually that we do celebrate our achievements and we do talk about them, because actually that's how we become inspirational to others. So yeah, I think that is probably something to chat about and talk about.
It is,
and with others.
We talk within my community about how important it is to actually celebrate those achievements and not move on too quickly.
Yeah.
Because I'm aware that we get, we may win an award and think, well, I've won it now, so I'll move on to the next thing. But actually, to spend time enjoying that celebration and the attitude of gratitude before you move on to the next big thing.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think we can often just be focused on yeah, like say the next thing, or not having everything that we want now, and being quite future focused, which I think is useful to a point, but like you say, when we're moving, if we're moving so quickly that we don't get a chance just to sort of stop and reflect and celebrate where we've got to now, we can be left with that feeling of constantly having, a bit like a hamster in a wheel, isn't it? Constantly trying to move into the next thing. Yeah. I think, yeah, definitely. There's something in that, I think.
Are there any books that you've read in the last year that have particularly inspired you?
Well, I guess in the last year I've been very much, as I say, in the process of creating this kind of new story for me. So using my old story, but looking at how I can build on it and recreate it. So a lot of the books that I've been reading, some have been books that I've been rereading, but stuff around story brand, Sumo is another one, Atomic Habits by James Clear.
I love Atomic Habits by James Clear.
It's great. It's great. Yeah, really good book. So Beauty of Discomfort by Amanda Lang, I think that's got some really nice messaging in and around the importance of embracing change, but also recognizing that change actually, no, it isn't comfortable. It is such a difficult thing to do by human nature. You know, we are creatures of habit. So if you want to do something different, you are going to have to step yourself out of what's comfortable and into discomfort. And she uses some great examples and case studies of discomfort and levels of discomfort and how we can better manage that. So lots of books, really, bits, you know, no one book in there stands out for me, but there's lots of books in there that I've taken chunks off, if you like, that have helped me in terms of recreating that story as I've tried to sort of move it forward and evolve it, because I think that's what's important when a business is your own. It's not a static. You're not static in it. You are at the centre of it, so you are evolving, and so should your business be evolving with you too.
And it's a good list for people that are thinking about starting a new business or looking at changing what their business is doing. The business has evolved, so it's a good list.
Yeah, so if you're because I think part of about being an entrepreneur is your ability to be able to adapt and pivot, and so it's looking at how you can do that. And I think if people are looking particularly at setting up a global business, then I think Daniel Priestley's The Entrepreneurial Revolution Journey is a good one, because it's nothing, I don't think there's anything amazingly new there, but the way he sets it out is really, you know, and he has questions at the end of each chapter, really gets you thinking, oh yeah, okay, have I got that in place? Yes. Have I got that in place? Yes. And I like the way he builds the foundations, and kind of to make sure that everything is in place, so you're not rushing off trying to do this before you've got that sorted out. And was a good checker for me in terms of expectations. So, you know, are you expecting suddenly to kind of, you know, on month 3 to have 15 inbound inquiries? It's kind of that. It was a good reality check, I think, in terms of have you got everything in place. So it's a good one too, I think.
Yeah, good. What would be your advice to the younger Kathryn?
Advice to me, well, I'm not sure it's to a younger Kathryn. I think it's also to an older Kathryn. For me, my big thing is patience. So I have to really work hard to cultivate patience. So I think that's sort of that real piece around, and like you've alluded to there in terms of the celebrating success, it's about patience, and then it's also about really enjoying that journey. So what's today about for you? What are you going to get from today, rather than sort of constantly looking ahead and thinking, oh yeah, well, when I get to X, Y, or Z, then I will be, you know, X, Y, or Z. So that very much more enjoying now for what now brings, really. Is a big thing. Both for my younger self and also for me currently, as I'm kind of rebuilding and recreating connections.
And that fits well with new women arriving in Spain too, because they do have expectations that they will settle in very quickly, and it doesn't always happen that way. So that's good advice too about patience.
Yeah, definitely. I think that I do think that real, recognizing that, you know, if we think of that whole sort of adjustment curve, I used to do a lot of work with master's students, and you know, they're international, they're coming in, they're only in for 9 months, but research shows that, you know, actually it can take 3 to 9 months to adjust. So I think there's things we can do to reduce that time that it takes us to adjust to things. I think your point around expectations is a massive one. So really checking expectations before we leave, and being kind of as aware as possible, I guess, as knowledgeable as possible about what we're going into, can really help that adjustment period. But I think it is also recognising that actually it is a process, and it's a process that everybody goes through and everybody has to go through. It will take different amounts of time for different people, but we all have to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can't rush it
no.
Because you also, I think there's also that thing of you think you're done and you think you're sorted and you're all settled, and then you do that, and then you get that next dip. And it takes a while, doesn't it, in terms of that kind of to really feel that you're sort of fully grounded.
Yeah, I mean, my advice to women is always to go back to their own country after they've been here about 6 months, because then you will appreciate how much you've changed and how much you've moved on. And that helps with the transition to a new country.
Yeah, definitely.
So if people want to connect with you, which is the best way for them to find you? Are there special social media platforms you prefer, or website, or?
Yeah, so I have my website, so they can find me on upandthrive.com. So that's so they can find me there, and then there's an option to actually sign up into my newsletter there as well. So if they want to be kept up with mailing resources, as I said, I blog, so I tend to put those out on there too. Or connect with me on LinkedIn is a really good way to find me too. And I'm under Kathryn Eade on LinkedIn. So yeah, you can find me there.
Great. Well, thank you for your tips. It's been lovely speaking to you.
Really good speaking to you too. Thank you.
And hope we get to see you in Spain at some point.
Oh, that would be brilliant. I'd love that. Yes. Yes. Thanks, Sally. All right. Take care. Bye.
I hope you enjoyed this interview. If you're a woman who's living in Spain or a woman who's thinking about moving to Spain, come and join us at costawomen.com. It's completely free to join. Please also come and follow us on YouTube or listen to our recordings via Spotify. Just look for Costa Women, Make It Happen.